The United States has called for an immediate halt to a military offensive by rebel Libyan general Khalifa Haftar to seize the capital, Tripoli. Troops loyal to Haftar are reported to be advancing on the city after launching the operation on Thursday. At least 30 people have been killed and dozens injured in the fighting. Forces aligned to the UN-backed government in Tripoli say they have started a counter-offensive to defend the city. Well, for more on this, let's bring in Chris Stephen. He's the Guardian's Libya correspondent. Chris, what are you hearing about the situation on the ground in Libya?
Well, the fighting continues. Overnight with Haftar's forces have been making some gains. They're pushing in from the southern suburbs, but they're meeting a lot of resistance from militias in the city. Yes, it's the fifth day and casualties are mounting.
How likely is it, Chris, that General Haftar will actually succeed with his offensive and his march on the capital?
I think it's hard to know. He has very powerful forces, He's already captured the east of Libya and the south of Libya, so for him, Tripoli is the final sort of stop. But on the other hand, it's a big city. There's a lot of forces there opposing him. So it's a trial of strength, really.
Okay, a trial of strength for the man who seems determined to seize power. What would happen, do you think, if General Haftar did manage to take power in Libya?
Well, he said that he favors democracy, but he has a very, very strong rule. So he'd want it to be a very ordered democracy. His pitch to the Libyan people is, I can get rid of all these militias and all this chaos and install regular army and police forces. But of course, Libyans will think, well, does that mean that we come back to being a dictatorship?
Now, the whole world is watching what's happening in Libya, seeing it still falling apart. Is there anything that the international community can do, the United Nations, for example, to help solve this conflict?
Well, the options are very limited. The EU foreign ministers are meeting today in Brussels, and people will be looking to them to see what they can come up with. But military intervention is not on the cards. Sanctions could be perhaps organized, but there's a big split in the international community. Countries including France, Russia, Egypt are supporting Haftar. So the internationals, really, the first step is to see if they can get a consensus.
Now, the European Union has been working with Libya to try to keep refugees from leaving the country and taking to the water on that perilous journey to Europe. What happens to the refugees in the middle of this conflict?
Yeah, the UN's very concerned. You have thousands of migrants in detention centres already in very grim conditions in the middle of Tripoli, and they've sort of lost contact with them. So there's a great deal of concern what happens to them.
Chris, thank you very much for bringing us up to date. That was Chris Stephen there with the British daily The Guardian.